Thanks for being here. We are team number 1. My name is Cassie Clayton.
I'm Craig Shacklett.
Ashley Pembroke-Lieberman.
Dana Magnuson.
Michael Fox.
And we are here to tell you about the discoveries that we have made on the trail to the next killer app. If I could get the clicker to work.
Okay.
Okay, there we go. That's team 1. So our approach to this task was to first build a configuration in NetBase based around mobile applications in general. In order to do this, we had to create a list of iterations, spellings, misspellings, singulars, plurals, abbreviations, and phrases with and without word or spaces in between each word. From there, we were able to view the top 100 insights in the form of a tag cloud. This is where we pulled our top 10 applications and top 5 devices from. We then inferred what the top 5 app categories would be using the top 10 applications and other terminology surrounding mobile applications such as music, movies, services, and more. Once this was finished, we developed a configuration around each of the top 10 apps, the top 5 devices, and the top 5 app categories. This allowed us to pull any brand passion indexes and other charts seen in this presentation. So as you can see, Twitter and Facebook are the most talked about apps, but they also have a lot of negative sentiment about them as well. Below that, in the rest of the chart, these apps have a whole lot of positive sentiment in the way of the net positive sentiment. But what we are looking for is this area, the red space, because that's telling us that there are features and functions that can be improved with these apps. Again, Facebook and Twitter are the first 2 apps in the way of sound bites. So this let us know that it would be very hard to break into these with a new killer app. Further down the chart, iTunes and Kindle also have a lot of buzz going on about them. This would also be difficult with a brand new app to break through with this area. So further down, we have less competition in the ways of social conversation. This presents an opportunity for us to introduce a new application. So BlackBerry, it doesn't have very much sentiment. People aren't really talking about it, but the passion on it isn't very strong. They don't hate it, they just dislike it. So it's not a big deal. iPhone, as we can see, people are very passionate about their iPhones. They talk about it all the time. It's very popular, and they have good sentiment about it. So we could conclude that the iPhone is the most popular device, followed very closely by the iPad. Here we have our different app categories. So social networks and entertainment are very high. They're very positive on the scales. People are talking about those. They have a lot of passion for them. On the opposite end, we have social media sharing and services. These present an area that we could introduce a new application in to pull up the sentiment and have people talking about more positive things on social domains. Here we're defining social networks as your Facebook, your Twitter, and your LinkedIn. Social media sharing are things like Instagram and Waze and YouTube. So looking at our top 10 mobile apps, this brand passion chart really reinforces what we saw with the comparison chart, because Twitter and Facebook are the most talked about, but they also don't have very high sentiment. They do kind of have considerable amount of passion, but again, nobody's really that high on the sentiment score. Instagram, on the other hand, which is a social media sharing app, people are very passionate about. You can see the affinity that consumers have for this app because they put it in the love category. So Waze is the other one that we're looking at because it's an up-and-coming one. It has a good amount of passion, and it has a lot of positive, and it has a lot of sentiment. So that kind of lets us know what areas we need to go into. What do people like about their apps? Free, simple, and easy. Those are the things that attract consumers. Physical appearance and utility are also things that strike positive chords with consumers. Equally important is functionality. If consumers can't use your app, they're not going to stick around. So you need to be able to have clear functions with using this application. So the top 5 categories that we looked at, services, entertainment, social media, utilities, and social networks, all have more positive buzz than they do negative. And we can tell that services and entertainment are talked about the most. However, the category that we're interested in is the social media sharing, because it's right in the middle. This means that consumers are already familiar with it, they're already kind of talking about it, but this shows us an area where things could be improved, and we can improve the sentiment and the positive talk on social networks and social domains. So where is this all leading? What is this next killer app? Fortunately, Craig's about to talk you through that part.
That's right. Thank you, Cassie. Okay, bringing it all together. So NetBase, tremendously powerful tool. It let us listen in, not just to Twitter, not just scraping social media. We were in on forums, blogs, microblogs, consumer review sites. I don't know if you can see this right here, but we listened in on 57 million sound bites. Interestingly, the conversation was largely male. Surprising. But what NetBase did was it helped us kind of find the coordinates for this white space. And we knew it had to be something involving photo and video. Waze, which was something Cassie mentioned, it's a location-based app. It takes into account geography. We wanted to have that, and then it had to be social. So you might think that's not really a white space. I'm pretty sure Facebook does all that. It's a big blue space, actually. True. But what makes it a white space? What we're going to add to it is gamification. If you remember on that brand passion index, the entertainment category was very large. People like that. So we can blend these three with gamification. I think we're onto something. So now we knew where the white space is. Based on what NetBase told us, we knew where to find the white space. The challenge was turning ourselves into the next Mark Zuckerberg and coming up with this next killer app. So where do we look to find the next killer app? Well, if you think about a lot of the hot apps now, they predated the smartphone era. I mean, they predated a lot of us. These are games that our grandparents were playing. Words with Friends came from Scrabble. Draw Something came from Pictionary. I'm pretty sure Bart Simpson was playing with a slingshot before Angry Birds was out. So we wanted to think about something from the past that we all could identify with that would blend social, photo, video, location, and sharing. And that game is Scavenger Hunt. Who hasn't had a lot of fun with the Scavenger Hunt? And if you think about the elements of a Scavenger Hunt, you're playing with a group of your friends. You need to visit different locations, and you need to have some evidence that you were there. It could be an item, or it could be a photo or a video. And then at the end, you come back together and you share what you found. So we think Scavenger Hunt is the idea, Crosspath is the app. How's Crosspath going to work? Well, it's going to be a lot like a scavenger hunt. We want it to be intuitive. So you're going to have several different lists. And the list could be a hunt you're doing just with your friends. So you're put together, you're going around doing fun stuff that friends do. Or it could be a common interest group. Maybe it's the Metroplex Cycling Association. So you're doing that list simultaneously. What you do is you click on the list, there's several different items on the list, and in order to check an item off, you have to take a photo or video, and then you do a timestamp with your GPS location. Then at the end of the contest, or as the contest is going on, depending on how the particular list is set up, you'll be able to see what your friends have done, they'll be able to see what you've done, you're sharing it, you're bringing it all together. All those four elements that we thought were critical in a white space killer app. Crosspath will blend it all together. So Crosspath, the idea is to reconnect people with the real world. And now that we have this idea, we have this killer app, or at least we think it's killer app, so it's on the back. We wanted to dive back into NetBase and give us some tools, maybe a guide for how should we develop this app as we move forward. And Cassie's going to talk a little bit about that.
Thank you, Craig. So yes, great app. We are loving it. We love the name. Let's make sure that we're doing it right. Let's make sure we're on the right path. So we get back into NetBase and we do some more research. Specifically, we look at social media sharing. What are people wanting from social media sharing? They want to be able to update their status. They want to be able to recommend their experiences to other people and other friends. So Crosspath would allow you to update your location and emotional statuses while interacting with the urban landscape. It would be keeping a running geo-history of your lifestyle and personal discoveries. Not surprisingly, the negatives center around viruses and errors for social media sharing. We would recommend that Crosspath run on an open iOS platform free of viruses, errors, and unnecessary updates, responding to the negatives seen here in this slide. As we mentioned earlier, the iPhone device does have the most chatter, does have the most buzz going on. Even though Android is second, the iPad, which is third, is almost as much buzz as the Android, and it even has less negative sentiment than the Android. So by sheer amount of volume of chatter, we would recommend a Crosspath run on an iOS device just because it far outweighs that of BlackBerry and Android. And finally, we looked at geocaching. Craig?
That's right, because our research was, we had to just use NetBase, which was a constraint. And surprisingly, we were able to find a lot of good insights that we could apply to Crosspath. Not necessarily by looking in Google at competitive apps. We used it as a proxy geocaching. For what do people like about these types of scavenger hunt games? Because if anybody doesn't know what geocaching is, it's you get coordinates and using the GPS, you go to this location. Oftentimes there's a little trinket there and you take it and swap in another one. It's a fun game. It's similar to a scavenger hunt. It's different than Crosspath. But we thought we could find things that we want to do as we develop the app and things we want to avoid. So what do people like about geocaching? These are geocaching apps. It's like a global treasure hunt. It's a great outdoor family activity. It's great fun. It's increasingly popular. Good. That reassures what we were thinking. We think this will be a popular game. Now, what do we need to avoid as we develop Crosspath? What are the potential landmines? Well, here's a big one. Not surprisingly, people don't like expensive apps. They don't like to pay for them. So we're going to make Crosspath free. The other thing is not help you get, not work for us. It's so hard. It's a headache. We're really going to focus on making Crosspath intuitive. It's going to be simple to use. Anybody can set it up. It's going to be easy. Now, we're reconnecting people with the real world, but in order for an app to succeed in the real world, it needs to make real money. And that's why we wanted to quickly talk about monetization. So we see two potential revenue streams. One, location-based targeted advertising. So depending on where you're checking in and what that list is all about, we can send a targeted app perfect for you. The other opportunity, and one that we're more excited about, is corporate-sponsored Crosspath hunts. And this photo right here, this is from a Virgin America scavenger hunt. My wife works at Virgin America, and it's something they do for new hires to connect them with the company, something fun, connect them with their new teammates. But what if Virgin America took that idea and turned it around and had their consumers do it? And what I mean is Virgin America flies to 19 destinations. What if at every destination there were 1 or 2 Crosspath items that they could do? And after checking off 10 items on the list, maybe they get a free upgrade. After 20 items, maybe they get a free flight. It's a fantastic way for a corporation to build loyalty, build excitement, and connect with their users. I'll give one more example. UT Dallas. Maybe there's a prospective student that's coming here. There's not a tour going on at the same time. Why not download the Crosspath Hunt for UT Dallas? It will show him everything he needs to see, everything UT Dallas wants him to see about the campus. He'll know to go there. And it may be the only opportunity UT Dallas gets to get that student in the library for the next 4 years, which is very exciting. So, in summary, NetBase, tremendously powerful tool. Let us listen in on the conversation going on in every corner of the internet. And we got insights about 4 critical pieces that are essential for building a killer app in the white space. That is, it has to be social, location-based, photo, video sharing, and it needs to be gamified. So using that, we looked to the past. We wanted to find an idea that worked offline to help create our app. We did. We used Crosspath. Then we went back to NetBase. And we used it as a guide to figure out how we're going to develop that app. And after all that, we wanted to make sure that not only will we reconnect people with the real world, we can make money in the real world. And I think we proved that we did. So we are Crosspath. We want to thank NetBase. We want to thank our distinguished panel of judges. And we're here to reconnect people with the real world. Thank you very much. much.